Okay, so I was going to do a lot of research on Clovis and get dimensions and get an average of all the Clovises that I have records of. And I've got some casts here too. I was going to measure these, and but the more I look at these and the more I look at other Clovises, I think that getting an average wouldn't be worthwhile. It, um, Not only will it take a lot of time, uh, but I think each one of these different Clovises should be studied on a case by case basis, just by looking at the differences. Now, the Clovis point is extremely widespread, so um, I think I've stated it before, but I think this technology spread by word of mouth uh, more than by migration. It was like the beginning of very precise flint knapping in the New World, and it kind of spread uh, quickly, and everyone adapted it to their own needs. So, like I said, just looking at these, I think we need to study these on a case by case basis. So, I'm not going to do an average Clovis. I'm going to assume that some of these were projectile points for sure. Well, not even the small ones can be assumed to be projectile points. You can use this as a knife as well. But the chances are the smaller ones are projectile points, and as they get larger, they're either spear points or knives, in my opinion. Okay, and some of these, like this was a highly stylized one, has a very little area that's ground down here. Okay, uh, so even though it may be large enough for a knife, I do think this one was probably a projectile point. But like this one here, this one's not finished, but this one, probably a knife. Um, very well made with the flute accentuated here. It might not even have been used. It might have been just made as a gift or for an offering. It looks like it hasn't been used. These are all casts, by the way. And I got a question on one of the comments about, uh, why would you want to wrap the blade when it's sharp all the way down? But Clovis is not sharp all the way down. There's a ground area. In case you didn't know, there is area that's dulled near the base where it was wrapped. And there's a few theories out there that say that these were inserted into a socket, but I don't believe they were socketed. I think they were all wrapped. Okay. Anyway, as I look at these, they're all slightly different. You can tell they're all Clovis, but they're different enough to warrant being studied on a case by case basis. So I'm not going to lump it all together and get an average. Anyway, a lot of them are very similar thickness, but I think it has to do with the hafting. I think the projectile points were hafted in this 1/2 inch. As a rule of thumb, I think I would just haft these Clovis projectile points on a 1/2 inch foreshaft or piece of wood. They all seem to fit well. This one's a little bit loose. This one here, I don't think it was finished, and that's the story on this one too. The researchers think this was not finished. Hasn't been ground here, and there's still a little bit of a remnant of a platform there that could have been used to thin the base even more, but it's already very thin. So uh, it could have been used just like this as a knife or something. I don't know. This one's kind of a mystery. It looks unfinished. Anyway, you've seen this one here. This one's pretty small. Thickness is still the same as the other ones, pretty much. But yeah, I would say this one is a projectile point as well. This one here. I would feel comfortable saying this is a projectile point as opposed to a knife. Same with this one. And these three would, maybe this one, but the larger ones, I'd feel comfortable saying that they were knives mainly, and that one might have been a knife too, or spear points, handheld spear points, for handheld spears, and maybe they were thrown also without an ladle, just hand thrown like javelins. Okay, now today I took some time and made new hafts for these two. This is a cast here of a Texas Clovis, and this is the one I've been showing in previous videos. To be used as knives, I feel comfortable with this size of foreshaft or handle. Okay, now this, I measured this, it's see if it'll focus, 11/16 and 5/8. Okay, this feels comfortable for a Clovis for me as a knife, and probably also as a spear point. You know, you extend this out full length, 6 feet or more, and it would be a good spear at this diameter, 11/16, or maybe even 5/8 all the way down. I noticed some pictures of, let's see, what was it, 19th century pictures of Indians, with some of them with spears, and the spears are quite thin. So I think this would be consistent, this diameter with a spear. All right. Now, when I was comparing these two, this one is a simple U socket, and it wiggles around a little bit, and this one does too. This one has a wedge in it. So I'm going to take this apart. This is very similar to the other haft that I did in the previous video. Where I wedged it in. Okay. Now I noticed that this particular haft is more wobbly than this one here. This is a U-notch, and this one doesn't wobble as much as this one. When I got this wrapped, this moves around more. I think why that is because this wedge is actually too short. I should probably have it twice as long, so that way this remains rigid. Because right now this little wedge moves in the haft when I move this point. So I think I should have it longer, at least twice as long, to firm it up, just so it'll be just as firm as the other side. Of course, that's solid, so it's going to be firm. But if I make that wedge longer, it'll firm it up and it won't wobble as much. And I would be more comfortable using it as a knife or as a handheld stabbing spear, and not be worried about it coming loose. Okay, so I gave a link in the description on the previous video to another site that has some Paleo Eskimo harpoon tips, and they use this type of arrangement on some of them. Of course, this part is thicker on a harpoon, and it's got a hole or a void in it for the wrapping. But you'll see if you follow that link. All right. Anyway, I think this is a solid arrangement with this type of situation with the wedge. I just got to make it longer, so I'll do that in an upcoming video. Okay. But yeah, I like this thickness for knife or spear. Okay. I think that's it. Well, let me take this apart so I can show you how I hafted this one. And the the wood goes all the way up to where it's ground, and it fits nicely in the flute, and it fits better in one direction than the other. I think I mentioned that before. So I mean, it's not. It may have been. Most of these Clovis were symmetrical this way, but not really in the side view. In many cases, there's some. If they are symmetrical here, they probably are not symmetrical there, on the side view. But I need to look at more Clovis. Most of these down here have slight differences from the side. They're not the same on each side. One, it's like this one here is flat pretty much on this side, but it's got a little bit of bulge in here on that side, and so forth. Okay. Anyway, this is how I hafted it, and I feel comfortable with this thickness of wood on each side compared to the other haft on a 1/2 inch. Let's see. This is 1/2 inch dowel. This is about, what did I say, 5/8? Yeah. Makes quite a bit of difference. This is a lot stronger. I feel more comfortable with this, with the average Clovis, if such a thing exists. But at least with this type, with this size, I feel better with this particular arrangement than this one here. Although, who knows? But yeah. I mean, they both would work, obviously. But this just feels better. Okay. All right, that's it.